Some COVID test sites are popping out of the metro just as quickly as they popped in. News 4 Investigates has been looking into these clinics being run out of tents like this one that you see here in the Central West End. Well, now investigator Susan Corey is digging into who's really running these sites while the company behind them skips out of town and out on the rules. Susan.
Well, Sam, we just learned the Missouri Attorney General's office is now looking into these test centers. These spots say they're run by the Center for COVID Control, but we found out that company is just providing the tests and then paying for them. A local pharmacist tells us he ran 3 sites here in the St. Louis area. Newly placed close signs at Ballpark Village as the rush to get free COVID tests here comes to an abrupt end.
You know, real testing are going on at these sites. It's nothing malicious.
The man on that call is a pharmacist who says he set up the testing along with one in the Central West End and another in Chesterfield. He asked us not to use his name, saying he wants nothing to do with the Center for COVID Control, the company he used to run each site.
I'd rather, not be tied to them when I can work with a different lab.
A News 4 investigation showed how the Center for COVID Control is under investigation in several states. It claims to have over 300 locations. We learned spots in Missouri and Illinois aren't being checked by state health departments.
And I think that's probably another, something that needs to be watched a little bit more closely is who they are allowing opening sites through them.
He wanted to bring more tests to St. Louis and says he reached out to the Center for COVID Control, did a couple training sessions, then got sent free tests. He says the company also paid for lease costs and employee salaries, but he ran everything.
As long as you're using their supplies and their platform, then they let you operate.
Problems started for him as Omicron spread and sites went from doing about 100 tests a day to close to 600. He says all rapid tests were processed by his employees on site and only PCR tests were sent to a lab.
So when you're understaffed and overworked because of the testing just exploded, there is a huge room for human error.
Some people who did rapid tests days ago tell us they're still waiting to hear negative or positive.
I never received any results, and so now it is 4 days later.
When Catherine Bannister took her young son to Ballpark Village for a test, she got this confirmation email, nothing else.
It's concerning to go somewhere and trust them and give them your personal information, and then later on find out that there's no real oversight.
Still no comment from the Center for COVID Control. The pharmacist we talked to says he plans to partner with a different company and reopen his sites. Tonight, the Department of Health says it's struggling to get information from people who tested at these spots. A spokesperson tells us it's possible these setups meet federal rules since rapid tests don't have to go through a lab. The only requirement is that tests are authorized for use by the FDA. Susan Corey, News 4 Investigates.